Are you ready to take a bite of heaven?
I am always ready to take a bite of almost anything. So heaven is definitely up there. What do we have?
This is going to be the best. Let's start with our soups first. This is the Polish chanina.
Okay.
And if you can see, there's raisins and prunes. Don't be scared. Just smell it and tell me what you smell. Fall.
It does, yeah. I get a lot of the clove.
Yep.
A lot of the sweetness from the raisins and prunes.
Allspice.
It does remind you of fall, yeah.
It's a fall harvest soup because when did you butcher your ducks? In the fall.
Sure.
Yep, and that's where it came from.
That's when I butcher my ducks.
That's when we used to butcher ours in the backyard on Butterworth Street where my busha lived.
Growing up in Detroit, it was pretty frowned upon to butcher ducks in the 80s.
Yeah, you're young.
I'm 32.
You're a baby. I'm 55. So.
Well, we didn't have ducks in Detroit ever. That wasn't really a thing. We had a lot of squirrels.
We used to eat those too.
We weren't allowed to cook squirrel.
The bones were too small. I hated eating squirrel, but we had to because we were poor. But anyways.
Learning a little something about you right now.
Oh, I'm serious. I come from, it's a long story. We'll get into that another time. That's why I want to do comedy. You guys would die if you heard my life. So anyways, I want you to try it. It's got duck meat in it. You can see the little duck. You won't turn into Donald Duck, but just take a little sip. And it's really yummy. Vinegar, a little bit of vinegar, sweet, sour going on. Isn't that delicious?
That is a really interesting flavor.
Yeah, and then in the real world, you would thicken it with real duck blood. You would slaughter the ducks, drain their blood out, and then take vinegar and put it in the blood so it didn't coagulate and get all clumpy, then it would stay nice and smooth. Because we all want our blood smooth when it's drained out of us.
Yeah, nobody wants clumpy blood.
No, and then we would put it in there, and it would make like a little bit of a thickener and stuff in it. But now I have to use, because the health department does not let me use blood. Don't ask me why. There's blood in your steak. There were blood in the ducks when I boiled them.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
And when I cook these, I put my ducks in a pot and I sing to them. And when I make my dill pickle, when I make my chanina, I actually sing to my ducks.
Do you?
They're all naked and they do a little dance and I sing to them. Moja droga ja ci kocham means that I love you so. And I do. I honestly do.
Wow.
My ducks in a pot.
It's funny because I'm sure the idea of like soul food is what I was raised on. And like that is exactly the same thing. Like just make sure you're cooking your food with love and then it comes out in the cooking.
And then you go to taste it, because I put
really
heavy cream in it and stuff. And you go to taste it and you're just like, you just know that's grandma going. I'm serious, my busha, I can do things and be cooking and feeling the dough in my hands or the stuff and tasting it and smelling it. You just know, it just takes you right to her kitchen table. It's true, it really is true.
This is really good. It's like rich, it's warm, it's hearty.
There's nothing like a cold winter day on the couch with all my cats piled on me, eating that soup, looking out the window.
It hits all cylinders of what a soup should be.
Yeah.
I'm going to finish it.
Okay. And I can get you some more, too.
I'm really interested to know what it tastes like with duck blood in it.
It's not that much different, actually. I don't think anyways.
All right.
All right, next one. You want to do food next, then we'll go to the dill pickle soup?
Sure.
Okay, here's your seasoned red skin potatoes. Now, once again, people in Poland were poor. They lived off the land, they grew their own vegetables, and a potato was something that they always had. They could put in the root cellar in the basement and have them all winter long.
I mean, even Matt Damon had it on Mars in The Martian.
Well, yeah, potatoes are a staple. They're a starch. They're good for you. So those are no big win-win, but I do season them up. Some places you go and get a potato and they either give you a whole potato on your plate or something that has no flavor. Mine have onion powder, garlic powder, seasoned salt, chives, garlic butter. We load them up. I don't like them naked. I like them to be a greater potato.
When I was younger, my mom was an awful cook. I mean, I'm sure she still is, but I grew up hating potatoes because everything she cooked was very bland. Like I didn't like potatoes, I didn't like steak, like I didn't like a lot of food that are like staples of like American eating.
Oh no, those are good. They're just good, and a red skin potato has sweetness to it to begin with.
Yeah, they're good. They've got a lot of flavor.
Some people even do it like they call a parsley potato. They do a potato with, I think, butter on it, and then they just put parsley. I mean, it's okay, but this is, I like a greater potato.
It's good. It's got a nice oomph. It tastes like you're eating something.
Yeah, and then the sauerkraut, which is Polish.
This is the kraut you talked about in line.
It's kapusta. It's not sauerkraut, it's pusta. Kapusta. It's right down the middle. It's not sour. It's not sweet. You got to find that balance.
That is like a flavor bomb.
Yeah.
Like the second you bite into that, it's just everything explodes into your mouth.
Yeah, because it's got 3 different kinds of cabbage. We do put canned cabbage in it, but we rinse it very well to get the salt and the brine and the crap out of it. I think I've already told you this.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's got the 3 cabbages, so we can explain
No,
that.
that is delicious, though. That's
yeah,
really
it's good stuff. A lot of people like that. The sausage, the big kielbasa.
Oh, I love sausage.
Is from Frank's Market on Fulton Street, a local little guy. My grandma used him ever since way back.
That is
so we
sausage.
grew up with Frank's. It's good quality sausage. It holds well. It grills well. They're wonderful people to do business with. And there are other great meat markets. You got Lewandowski's, you got Sobeys. I mean, there are other meat markets, but that's who my busha used, and that's what I go
it's really
by.
good sausage.
Yeah, and you can put a horseradish on it or whatever.
I don't even, just the sausage. I'm a fan of, I love sausage, so I don't like putting stuff on it. Like I just like eating the sausage.
Who doesn't love a good sausage?
I mean, if you don't love a good sausage, you're probably a terrorist. Let's be real
there. Especially on a cold winter night.
Yes, I enjoy eating edible sausages on a cold winter night.
You gotta put it under your pillow.
Under your pillow? Is that for the sausage fairy to come?
Yeah, in the middle of the night, then you need it, you just pull it out.
Take a bite. Like, oh man, I am hankering for some salt. Look like I got some under my pillow here. Let me just pull it out.
Us big girls always have a plethora. Candy.
See, I'm a comedian. I can't just pull it out right now. Like, it's not a good time for comedians to be doing that.
So let's do the glumki next.
Okay, so I grew up eating these. There's 3 food items my mom could make well. It was chili, gołąbki, which we call stuffed cabbage because we're not Polish, and meatloaf. So the 3 things that no matter what, I loved when she made them. So I'm excited about.
It's like a mini meatloaf, but I use 3 different kinds of tomatoes. I use stewed tomatoes, crushed tomatoes, and Campbell's tomato soup. You gotta use Campbell's with it because Campbell's has that sweetness to it where your regular tomatoes got that little bit of acid and that little bit of bitterness, but it's just, once again, it's a balance. You gotta balance the 3 acids out, but it's just good. And you got the and you know what, once again, Polish people weren't rich. They had their cows for their beef, and then you have to put pork in it because it's got to be soft. If you just put ground beef in it, they'd be hard like a hamburger. So you got to add softness and the rice in it to bind it and the egg to bind it.
This is good too.
Aren't those good?
Every time I buy anything, I'm just going to be like, this is really good.
But it is good. It's soft and delicious on a cold day. You know, and then the leftover soup you take with rye bread and eat that and have like tomato soup, like a 3 tomato soup in the winter.
All right, let's move on to the pierogi.
Okay, these are pierogies. The dough is made out of 3, it's called a 666. 6 cups of flour, 6 eggs, and a 6, which is a 16-ounce sour cream, and a pinch of salt. 666 and a pinch. Then on the inside, it's mashed potatoes and cheddar cheese. And they're fried in a garlic butter. We do 30,000 of them in 3 days.
That is an insane amount of pierogies.
30,000. My brother back there is frying the pierogies. He's like the expert. That dude can. It's like a pierogi ginzu. You know, just crazy how he does it.
I saw a video on the YouTubes. That's what the kids call it. And it was this falafel guy. And he was like, he's got like his bag and he's getting falafels out. And he's just like throwing them into the bag like super fast. Like it was, I don't know. I'll link it in here. You guys will see it. But it's an insane video, and I always admire anybody who's done a job so long they can pretty much do it with their eyes closed. You know what I mean?
Oh,
you just see that, and you're just like, oh, that person cares about what they're doing, and you can taste that too. Like these are just perfectly fried.
And there's some places boil them, and some people serve them with onions, but the onions burn. And if you boil them, I think they're like snot. But I don't know. That's not how I was raised, because it is like a noodle dough, and it's like, you know, and some, I don't know. It just depends. I like them fried in a butter. It's like you're putting that little love that you know, because you crimp them and then you boil them and then you fry them. But then when you put them in that hot grease, it's like, here you go, honey, take a nice tan. And you're just putting them in there like the tanning bed. And then they come out crispy brown.
Come out nice and relaxed.
Yeah.
Oh.
And then this is our bread, and we get our bread locally from the Schnitz up on Fulton Street. And if you turn it upside down, you got to smile. See?
It matches my face.
Yes. It's really good. The Schnitz Bakery is phenomenal. I do a ton of business with them.
You know,
because they're little and local like me.
I think I've been to Schnitz once.
I've had the Schnitz, but it was a long night. It was something I must have ate somewhere. Yeah.
You know, there are certain things in my household that were delicacies only because my parents would buy things. And then Ben Wilkie, what's up, man?
How you doing?
Good. How you doing?
Good.
Just vlogging. Just eating some food.
Nice.
Telling stories about my childhood. There were foods in my house that were delicacies, and my parents would buy foods that were only for them.
Yep.
And rye bread was my dad's food.
Oh, wow.
I was never allowed to have it. He would buy it, and he would eat on sandwiches. He would make like pastrami and mustard sandwiches on rye, and we were never allowed to have them. So this is really my third time ever eating rye bread.
In the toaster with real butter. Oh.
Yeah. It was rye bread and strawberry shortcake rolls.
Oh, wow. He was a glutener.
It was like torture.
That's abusive. That's borderline abusive.
It was so mean.
Why don't you do your thing? I'll come talk to you.
All right, man.
And then this last is our dill pickle soup. That's my recipe, homemade, not from my grandma, but I created it because everybody said, make a dill pickle soup. So I did. And I go online and I look at everything that's in dill pickle soup and then I make my own. And it's not, don't put a ton of pickle juice in it. You got to have that balance between, you know, people put like this much pickle juice in it. It's not. You got to taste and go. It's either pickle juice or chicken broth. One of the two is in there, and it is gluten-free this year. I thicken it now with cornstarch. Because I used to use flour, and a lot of people were like, it's not gluten-free, I can't eat it. And even my garlic had gluten in it, my garlic powder, so I switched to fresh garlic this year.
Yeah.
So my gluten-free friends can eat it. It's not dairy-free, obviously.
Yeah, it's creamy.
Yeah, it's got heavy whipping cream, half and half, and sour cream.
Yep.
But I mean, for a batch, it's 4 huge things of sour cream, and then like 5 of the heavy whipping cream and 4 of the half and half.
It's a really good balance. Like you said, like a lot of dill pickle soups just taste like pickle juice.
Or they make it like chicken noodle soup, but then you taste it, you're like, oh, it's all brine.
Yeah.
Gross.
This is like a nice balance between like the creaminess and the dill. Like it's
and
like,
you could put pickle chunks in it, what some people do, but I grind them up, they're in there. And once again, I use 3 different kinds of pickles. I use pickle shreds. I use a jarred pickle that I get down in Detroit.
McClure's?
Nope, it's from the Polish store. They're Polish pickles from Poland.
Okay.
And then I also use just your like Vlasics Polish kosher dills.
All right.
But see, you gotta mix it up and put a variety of stuff in it, you know?
Yeah.
And then you got your acid of the brine, your chicken broth, and then your seasonings, you know? And that's it.
This is good.
It is good. You puree the carrot down. Carrot is sweetness.
The carrot's a nice touch too, yeah.
Yeah, and I actually burned up my food processor this year, so I got to go buy another one. But I mean, you should believe that food processor I've had for 20 years.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and it finally fell apart yesterday.
I don't have a food processor yet. I have 2 things on my kitchen wish list. 'Cause I cook a lot. I love cooking. 2 things on my kitchen wish list are a stand mixer and a food processor. I've got a stick blender, which I love, like especially this time of year.
Where do you live?
I walked here. I live like 2
Does it have
blocks from here.
batteries?
It's plugged into the wall. You never have to worry about it.
Damn, do all your lights go dim? The neighbors are like...
But this is like soup season, so I use I was literally just going to go like this.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I use it a lot for soups. Oh, man. This is going to be a long day.
And you can dip your pierogies in there, too. It's really good.
That's a good idea.
And you can put sour cream on your pierogies. That's like what most people do.
See, I don't like sour cream unless it's in stuff. I don't like sour cream by itself.
Oh, you don't like it naked? You just want it...
I just want it in.
All dirty inside of something.
I just want it...
Dirty!
I could never make like a Food Network show with you.
It's so dirty!
Everything would be censored.
Filthy.
We can't use any of this stuff. I'm going to try to dip the pierogi into the soup. This is going to be good. I already tell.
It's good. Isn't that good?
You know how to eat.
That's what people do. But I mean, that would be good on a baked potato, too.
The soup?
Yep. It's got everything you need.
Well, I'm going to finish eating this because I'm not going to let any of it go to waste. It's delicious. Thanks for sitting down with me.
Yeah. I told you I'd feed you.
I'm going to be here all day.
I'll feed your need, baby. I'll feed your need. Well, eat them up. I got to get back to the kitchen.
All right.